Hello, my name is Laura and this is my rig rundown. You might not know me from a band called
Upset Stomach. We use a lot of effects
and we make kind of weird indie shoegaze pop, so it gives me an excuse to have a lot of ridiculous pedals. The guitar pedals subreddit has been a big inspiration as well as enabling me to buy all these lovely things. So I thought I would talk you through them. So I have 4 bits of plastic with different things stuck onto them, so I'll go through board by board. It's all very high tech. Apologies for triggering anyone with the horrible rat nest of cables going on. In terms of power, I just use very cheap daisy chains. I've got this kaolin one which is supposed to be isolated but obviously isn't, but it's really good because you can charge your phone off it. It's got a USB situation, and I can also power this 12 volt voice pedal, which is the TC Helicon C1. You can do a lot of gender bending, you can put it into different keys. It's an auto-tune pedal, so I use that a lot on the vocals in the band. And I thought I'd use it for this because more effects all the time. So my sound will be coming out of this lovely jazz chorus. It's a 55. I'm going to use the chorus on the amp, all the time. And I'm using a Tascam microphone going into a Steinberg UR22 Mark II. Very solid audio interface there. Little dirt breakdown here. And I'm playing on a Baritone ukulele made by Brian Fanner. Very nice. Same tuning as guitar, you're just missing the lower 2 strings. My philosophy is small instrument, twice the pedal board. So my first board starts off with a tuner, pretty standard TU3, Boss, does the job. And then we go into the Dream Reaper.
The Dream Reaper, which is very intense. It's a very good pedal. It's a fuzz and you can kind of dial in all this mad stuff on it. It has a kind of dream section which basically sort of self-oscillates all of the feedback back into yourself, so you can kind of pitch it and do all this weird funky stuff with it. That's my most recent pedal and it's absolutely savage. Really recommend it. You can get so many different tones out of it. There's also a kind of feedback thing when you kick the dream on. Sometimes you can put the reap, which is the kind of feedback sort of feeder knob back on itself, so it creates a kind of tone when you're not playing, so you can kind of mess around with that. Yeah, I really like it. It's very weird and you can do a lot of kind of trippy stuff with it. I sort of see it being the kind of fuzz version of the Rainbow Machine almost, because you can create similar sort of textures. And then we go into an Ibanez compressor pedal. This is the CP10 compressor sustainer. I did have a Behringer one which was pretty good, but then found this pretty cheaply. So for the compressor, it's just nice and smooth. Basically, because we play a lot of gigs in London and I don't have a car, I carry everything around in this lovely suitcase. It's yellow because no one else has a yellow suitcase, although the last gig we played, someone had this exact same suitcase and then someone else had another yellow suitcase, so not that different after all. But yeah, instead of getting heavy music boxes and carrying all that around, I just rock up with a very fashionable suitcase. Suits on my needs in a kind of lo-fi way. Yeah, definitely some of the boards that I see on the subreddit are very kind of perfect and pristine, and sadly this is not the case for this, so again, sorry for kind of triggering anyone with my lack of actual board, or kind of hidden power supplies, all that kind of stuff. The compressor is kind of mostly used because I can't take my amp around with me, so I use different amps depending on where we're playing basically, so I can never kind of get a consistent sort of idea of what's going on. Sometimes I don't need it, but
the ukulele is sort of quite quiet on some amps, and I play mostly clean sort of stuff anyway. This is an amp that doesn't break up, so if I've got a kind of tube amp situation, I usually won't bother with that because I don't want things to kind of get too muddy. Then we go into the TC Electronic Brainwaves. I did have the Behringer pitch shifter, but that died on me, and I'm trying this out. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it yet. Possibly thinking about switching for a super shifter just because Boss is very reliable. I'm still kind of figuring out this one really. I got it initially because you can add your own effects types, and I like having those different things, but I'm not really using it that much for those things. Basically what I had the Behringer doing was a kind of pitch shifted down happening really, really slowly, so it's a sort of very long kind of delay, and then I just sort of use it for making notes sort of sound warbly, but with this one I use it for thickening up riffs and things. Obviously I've only got 4 strings, so it's nice to add some savagery now and again. Then we go into the Grazer, which is another kind of newish pedal. This is very weird and very good. I've obviously got 2 granular delays on this board, and I really like it because I like that kind of glitchy sort of sampling vibe, and I like having something sort of left to chance a bit. At the moment I'm mostly using the Grazer for either a kind of same pitch sort of repeater, kind of gluey and giving all those good sort of tones, or as kind of having little flutters of pitch, although I am using it for the drums on this track and that sounds really good. It really works well with drum machines, so yeah, I'd really recommend this. Hours of fun. It's another kind of very deep pedal that you can sort of use for recording to create a load of different textures. And then we go to the Red Panda Particle, which is absolutely great. This is the version 1 rather than the version 2, so I don't have all the lovely presets. If I did, I think I'd kind of use it for more kind of things, but this is my standard sort of sound, and then I change the chop around basically to kind of give it more and more or less of a kind of feedback, keeping the note that you've just played, or doing something very kind of sustained with it. I just really like it for kind of pitch fluttery things, but the reverse is also really amazing. Basically there's so many good sounds that you can find out of it. I've done kind of whole tracks just recording using the particle. It's like a whole pedal board really. Alright, so from the particle we go to this Frederick Effects Unpleasant Companion. It's very zippy and it works really well with the whammy Ricochet, high pitch sort of nonsense, sounds really good ripping through with that. Then we go into the Gonkulater, which is a great pedal. You can even just completely dial out the ring mod element and have it as a distortion. It sounds really good just like that, but the way that I normally have it set is with the frequency of the ring modulator just past 12 and then quite high in the mix, a little bit of gain, a little bit of distortion, and I use it usually with the Brainwaves sort of pitched down. The Brainwaves I have at kind of 12 o'clock, so it's half the lower pitch and then half the regular, so you've got a kind of thicker sort of sound, but it just really, really works well kicking in with the Brainwaves. I've done a little kind of sample here so you can hear that. Again with the lovely Grazer on the drums. So it gets pretty savage. It also rips really well kicking on this boss chorus that I've got on the board connecting to it. So we go from the Gonkulater into my modulation-y chorus sort of board. So I suppose they've got themes. The first one's basic effects, things that I need. I like having the pitch shifter down at the front and then having a high pitch shifter at the end so that you get that kind of lurching sort of sound effect. And I think the lower tone sounds better sort of further up. So we've got essentials, then it goes into sampling and dirt, and then we've got this little modulation section before the weird section at the end. So the Red Panda Raster is really amazing. Again, I kind of wish that it had presets because it's got a really nice ring mod that I use quite a bit on recording. But what I mostly use it for in the band context is this kind of shifting feedback kind of thing. Keep it an octave above, have a few feedbacks, blend in the middle, delay just past 12, and then you've got that modulation. It's really nice for chords and making everything sound really lush. But then also like setting it, I think it's at a fifth, and then having the feedback at 1, so you've got that extra hand almost playing riffs and things for you. I think there's different ways of playing guitar, and I definitely, especially because I'm not using all of the strings, I think it's really nice to use these kind of pitch effects to create different stuff. And I've got quite a small ukulele, so it helps. You know, I can achieve savage shred-like chords that make it sound like I'm really well practiced, but actually it's just that the frets are all closer together. So what I kind of lack in technical skill, I can fumble along with effect, and I think that's a legitimate way of playing. Yeah, things like the Red Panda, when it is on the fifth, it just really inspires me because it gets me out of the kind of way that I'd normally write something, and just throws in something else. So here's a little example of that. And then we go from there to this Korg phaser, which is just great. A few different settings you can get out of here. It's nice and simple. It's good to have some things on here that are kind of less knob heavy than others. So then we go from the phaser into the chorus ensemble. I think I'd probably like to get a CE2 at some point, but as you can see, this was just £40, so absolute bargain. Hartlepool, a cash generator, shout out. So that thickens me up a bit. And then we go from there into one of my favourite pedals, the Rainbow Machine. Yeah, just absolutely great. I like using it in quite a subtle way, but I think on all of our albums we've got kind of whooshing ups and downs on a lot of the tracks, just as a kind of background wash. It's really nice for that, and I really like it for kind of little solo notes, making them sort of warble and stand out in a kind of strange way in a mix. Yeah, Subtle Rainbow Machine, that is definitely one of the kind of essential pedals, I think, to my sound. Never getting rid of that. Then we go into this digital multi-effect Behringer pedal. It can do quite a lot of stuff. I was using it for a kind of pitch shifter thing, but it's got a kind of plasticky delay that you can't really change the time of, and it was, I don't know, I kind of like it sort of being quite out and having a kind of rhythm of its own, but it was a bit annoying in a band context, so I've been using it for this kind of stuttering delay. I really like it. It sounds really good on these kind of jagged chords, and also for any kind of solo notes, it gives a kind of disorienting sort of effect. Yeah, cheap and cheerful. So then we go into the Dweller, which is a kind of another newish pedal that I'm still getting used to. Yeah, there's loads of different sounds that you can get out of it. It's a phaser that also has a kind of delay and repeat sort of setting in it. So you can get some really weird stuff as well as kind of traditional sort of lush chords. I'm still sort of trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it in a band context. But it really is really nice. I was kind of doing a little mini board over Christmas. I just took 3 pedals home with me on a smaller board to kind of mess around with, and that's definitely one that is again very deep and you can spend a lot of time with. So I want to kind of figure out something with that, but it really is just to kind of yeah, it's a great pedal for what you get out of it. There's so many different kind of options. You can have it just as a delay, have it just as a straight phaser. You've got different voices, different shapes, all that kind of stuff. And that goes into the Aqueduct, which is also a kind of another weird little wiggly one. I really like the vibrato on it. It's very lush. It's very kind of, yeah, a perfect vibrato. But what I mostly use it for is the ramp setting, which just has that good kind of cut off thing. And again, it's something that really stands out in a mix. So I use that on all my kind of mid-tone kind of guitar sounds. Yeah, so when I do recordings by myself, I do put some guitar lines on there just to kind of thicken things up, and it just always sounds really good. I've got a kind of Strat copy that I use, and that, yeah, just sounds really good, sort of warbling through that. Yeah, I really want to kind of figure out a way of doing the Kevin Shields thing. I think what's nice about the board setup that I've got is that I can kind of isolate any of them and they can be their own sort of individual boards almost. So I think if I was going to do recording, I'll probably stick that further up so that it's kind of got more signal to process, because you can't really, it's not as effective in sort of picking up the attack and things that have a big influence on it. So then we've got the C Machine, which is my favourite chorus ever. It's definitely got a kind of reverb sort of echo on it. You can get a straight kind of chorus out of it, but I really like this sort of jerky sound that you get, the kind of weird warbling. That movement again just really kind of stands out and has its own sort of nice quality to it, so I often use it as a kind of weird chorus with a sort of reverb effect. It's really good for kind of little plucky lines, getting those to stand out. Then we go from that over onto the Ibanez Modulation Delay 3. I use this for a very weird and specific setting, which can be good for solos or just kind of little bits of texture. Again, what's nice about being in the band is I'm not actually the main guitar person, so I get to just throw in little kind of bits of texture and strange stuff, so it's kind of perfect for that. Just having that kind of movement, again similar to the Rainbow Machine but a lot more chaotic. There's one kind of mad section of a song where it's got a solo, so it's sort of, I use that with the whammy and with a bit of delay on there, so it just sounds absolutely insane. Our bassist described it as sounding like a panic attack. Then we go into the Zoom Multistomp, which is again another very deep pedal. I've got loads of different settings on there, but the one that I use most is this kind of rolling delay that just sort of warbles and takes ages to die. It sounds really good if you let it ring out, and it sounds really good sort of as staccato notes as well. I think that's one of Hopeful Utopian's patches, so thank you very much. And then we finish it all off on the whammy Ricochet. I usually keep everything around 12 o'clock. I quite like having it to shoot up really quickly and then fall down, so I'm using it all for pitch shifted ups kind of sounds. So I do a lot of kind of goofy, strange things with that, which I really enjoy. And then I'm using this little Sub-Zero Ice Cycle as my loop because my line 666 unfortunately has quite a lot of white noise hiss at the moment, which is annoying. I've checked the kind of circuit and it seems fine, so hopefully it just needs a clean. That's playing up at the moment, but that is absolutely my favourite loop pedal. It's just so good for the little kind of sampling effect that you can get. I use it mostly for vocal stuff, which you can hear. Yeah, and it's just great. It's really inspiring how you can slow stuff down, speed it up, and again, it's that trigger thing. I've been trying to think of something else to replace it, and I've been coming close, and then realise every single time it's mostly about that sample kind of trigger thing, which keeps me coming back to it. So yeah, that was the first pedal that got me into all of this.
So hopefully that was interesting.
Hopefully that was inspiring.
Yeah, and if you live in London or in the UK,
look out for Upset Stomach. They're coming to a town near you very soon.
Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.